older men ruin it with younger women the moment they start acting like boys. That's the brutal truth most won't tell you. Picture this. You're a man in your 40s or 50s. You've built a career, you've got life experience, maybe even scars that shaped you. Then suddenly, a younger woman shows interest. Your ego lights up, your energy spikes, and before you even realize it, you start shrinking yourself to fit her world. You laugh at jokes you don't get, you copy her slang, you bend your time, your standards, and even your purpose, all to keep her attention. And just like that, the power shifts. What started as attraction turns into imbalance because you traded your strength for performance. The truth? Younger women aren't drawn to older men because they expect them to act young. They're drawn because of your frame, your calm, your presence, your direction. When you abandon that, you destroy the very thing that attracted her in the first place. This video isn't about tricks. It's about showing you the 10 mistakes older men make that instantly kill respect with younger women and how to flip them into power moves that deepen attraction. If you want to understand her psychology while staying true to Stoic wisdom and your mission as a man, this is for you. Let's get into it. Number 1. Don't act her age, own yours. Here's where a lot of older men blow it with younger women. The moment she gives them attention, they panic. Instead of leaning into what makes them powerful life experience, calm, direction, they try to erase it. They start dressing like 20-somethings, throwing around slang that doesn't fit, or pretending to love things they barely understand just to feel relevant. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man abandoning himself. Younger women don't look at older men because they're hoping for a second teenager. They look because of what's different. Your grounded presence, your ability to slow things down, your stability, that's what stands out in her chaotic world. When you try to compete in her lane, you lose the race before it even begins. Take Paul, 48, from Dallas. After his divorce, he started dating again and caught the eye of Jenna, a 30-year-old fitness instructor. At first, she loved his maturity, his humor, the way he carried himself. But within weeks, Paul began mimicking her lifestyle. He bought the same sneakers as her friends, stayed up until 2 a.m. on weeknights, and forced himself into concerts he hated. Jenna didn't feel more connected. She felt like he was disappearing. She later admitted, "I was drawn to you because you were different. Then you started acting like every other guy my age." That's the danger. Now, contrast that with Mike, 52, from California. He met Lauren, 34, through mutual friends. Mike didn't try to shave years off himself. He kept his steady routine, early mornings at the gym, weekends dedicated to hiking, conversations that came from decades of reading and building his career. Lauren found herself leaning in, fascinated by his world. She wasn't looking for a peer to gossip with. She wanted a man who could show her something beyond what her own generation offered. The Stoics would tell you the same. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That applies here. Don't argue with time. Don't hide from your age. Be the man your years have carved you into. That's more magnetic than pretending to be something you're not. And let's be real, trying to act younger usually backfires. She knows when you're forcing it. The slang sounds awkward, the outfits don't fit your frame, the late nights drain your energy. Instead of looking impressive, you look desperate. And desperation is the enemy of attraction. So what should you do? You own your age. You double down on what sets you apart. If you're in your 40s, 50s or 60s, you've got stories she hasn't lived yet, discipline she hasn't built, and perspective she can't fake. Share those with confidence. Let her step into your rhythm instead of scrambling to match hers. Owning your age doesn't mean being rigid or closed off. It means holding your ground while being open. You can enjoy her music without pretending you grew up with it. You can join her at a new restaurant without pretending you've abandoned your taste. It's balance interest without imitation. And here's the irony. The more you lean into your reality, the more attractive you become, because authenticity is rare. Any man can play dress-up. Few men can sit in their own skin and know it's enough. So remember this: she doesn't need another peer. She doesn't want another boy. She wants a man who's lived, who's seen, who's steady, a man who doesn't flinch at the gap in age but carries it like armor. That's the difference between being a fleeting fling and being unforgettable. Now, I want you to comment below with this: I own my age. Say it out loud, type it in, and claim it. Because the moment you stop running from your years is the moment you start winning. And don't move yet, because what comes next might sting, but it's the mistake almost every man makes when he tries to connect with a younger woman, and it will cost you if you don't catch it. Number 2. Quiet strength beats playing therapist. Here's a trap that older men often fall into when dating younger women. They become her therapist instead of her man. She vents about her drama at work, the endless text fights with her friends, or the confusion in her dating past, and instead of listening with calm presence, you jump in to fix everything. You start analyzing her emotions, offering solutions, and carrying her baggage like it's yours. At first, she might even thank you for it. But slowly, without realizing it, you've stepped into a role that kills desire. Women don't crave a man who fixes their feelings. They crave a man who anchors them while they work through their feelings. There's a big difference. One is needy, trying to win points by solving her problems. The other is powerful, showing that her storm doesn't shake your ground. Think about it. If every time she cries, complains, or spirals, you drop everything to play emotional rescuer, you stop being a lover and start being a counselor. And here's the truth: she already has friends, journals, maybe even a therapist for that role. She doesn't want another. She wants polarity. She wants to look at you and feel your calmness cut through her chaos. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." That's the heart of quiet strength. You don't need to solve her external chaos. You need to show her what composure looks like in the middle of it. That's more attractive than any piece of advice you'll ever give. Picture it. She comes to you upset, emotions spilling everywhere. You don't panic. You don't interrupt. You let her speak. You hold eye contact. You nod. And when she's finished, instead of rushing to fix it, you give a short, steady response. "I hear you," or "That sounds tough, but I know you'll handle it." Those simple words, paired with your calm presence, communicate more power than 10 lectures. Because they remind her you're not overwhelmed by her emotions. You're steady. Quiet strength is sexy because it's rare. Most men either overreact, becoming emotional sponges and drowning in her problems, or underreact, dismissing her feelings as irrelevant. Both extremes break connection, but the balance of listening without losing yourself, that's magnetic. Here's another layer. When you make her emotions your battlefield, you teach her that she controls the frame. Her tears or her anger dictate your state. But when you show quiet strength, you reverse that dynamic. She starts to feel that being around you pulls her into steadiness. And once she links you with that feeling of emotional security, attachment deepens fast. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." In relationships, bravery isn't fighting every battle, it's standing tall when emotions run high, refusing to be enslaved by the mood of the moment. That's the freedom that makes you unshakable in her eyes. So here's the shift you need to make. Stop trying to be her emotional handyman. You're not there to patch every hole in her world. You're there to embody the strength that lets her lean on you without losing respect. The moment you stop over-explaining, over-analyzing, and over-helping, and instead choose quiet presence, you move from comfort zone to magnetic. And understand this: desire isn't born in her gratitude for your advice. Desire is born in the way her body relaxes when she feels your grounded energy, when she sees that her chaos doesn't drown you, but instead bounces off a man who knows himself. That's when attraction burns hotter. So remember this rule. Be her anchor, not her analyst. Let her feel your calm more than she hears your words. That's the difference between being the guy she thanks politely and the man she can't stop craving. Number 3. Stop chasing her validation. Here's the truth most men never want to face. The moment you start chasing her validation, you give up your power. You stop being the man she looks up to and start being the boy waiting for her approval. And with younger women, this trap becomes even more dangerous because they can sense it instantly. Validation chasing shows up in little ways. Texting too much just to see if she responds, over-complimenting her because you're afraid silence will make her lose interest, or changing your opinions to match hers because you want to keep the peace. On the surface, it looks harmless, but underneath, it communicates one loud message. Her approval matters more than your own self-respect. Let's take a real-life example. Imagine Michael, 42, who's been dating Sophie, 26. Michael is successful, confident at work, but with Sophie, he falls into a pattern. Every time she takes a little longer to reply, he double texts. Every time she posts something on Instagram, he rushes to like it and leave comments, hoping she notices. At first, Sophie enjoys the attention, but soon it feels predictable and worse, needy. Instead of seeing Michael as the strong, mature man she was drawn to, she starts to see him as another guy orbiting around her for approval. This is where attraction flips. Women don't admire the man constantly trying to earn their praise. They admire the man who already knows his value. When you stop chasing validation, you send a powerful message. I choose you, but I don't need you to define me. The Stoics nailed this principle long before modern dating apps. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject." Think about how that applies here. If you let a woman's approval or worse, her silence dictate your worth, you've handed control of your life to someone else. That's weakness, not strength. Women test men constantly, often unconsciously. A younger woman might cancel plans last minute just to see how you react. If you respond with neediness, "Was it something I did?" or "Please, can we reschedule soon?" you fail the test. But if you respond with calm detachment, "No worries, take care," you show quiet strength. You didn't chase, you didn't crumble, and that response makes her lean in harder. Validation chasing also kills polarity. Relationships thrive on the tension between masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy is grounded, self-assured, and directional. Feminine energy is expressive, emotional, and responsive. The moment you start seeking her validation, you slip into the feminine role, constantly reacting instead of leading. And when both energies blur, attraction dies. Here's another reality check. Younger women especially are used to male attention. They get validation every time they walk outside, every time they post online, every time they exist in public spaces. So your validation isn't rare, it's just another drop in the ocean. What is rare? A man who doesn't flood her with validation. A man who gives it sparingly when it actually means something. That's when it lands with impact. Going back to Michael and Sophie, when Michael finally stopped over-texting and started pulling back his energy, something shifted. Instead of asking for her attention, he redirected his focus on his work, his gym routine, and his friends. Sophie noticed. Suddenly, she was the one checking his stories, sending him flirty texts, and trying to lock down plans. Why? Because his attention became scarce, and his validation actually mattered. So here's your takeaway. Validation chasing doesn't make her want you more, it makes her take you for granted. Stop trying to earn her interest with approval. Stand firm in your own value, and let her validation be the bonus, not the fuel you run on. Because in the end, She doesn't want to validate a boy begging for attention. She wants to respect a man who already knows who he island, and the moment you stop chasing, you become that man. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and make it bold. Say it in 3 words. I stand firm. And remember, this is only one layer of the game. If you've ever wondered how subtle shifts in your behavior can completely flip the dynamic, you'll want to pay close attention to what's coming. Missing it could mean staying stuck in the same old cycle, while catching it might change the way women see you forever. Number 4. Don't perform, lead with presence. One of the biggest mistakes older men make when they are with younger women is believing they need to constantly perform. They start cracking jokes, telling exaggerated stories, or buying gifts to prove they are still exciting. On the surface, it feels like effort, but underneath it, this behavior sends one message: insecurity. Performance is temporary, presence is lasting. Women, especially younger women, are surrounded by men who perform for them every single day. They get the texts filled with emojis, the flashy social media posts, the loud energy that screams, "Notice me." That's common. What is rare is the man who doesn't need to perform. The man who enters a room with a calm and grounded energy, who doesn't talk just to fill the silence, who doesn't fidget when she teases him, but instead holds steady eye contact with quiet strength. That's the kind of presence that stands out and lingers in her memory. The Stoics captured this truth centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your mind is restless, chasing her approval, your presence will be weak, no matter what words you say. But if your thoughts are centered, focused, and disciplined, your presence radiates without effort. It's not about trying harder, it's about being grounded. And this is why presence is more powerful than performance. Performance is noise, presence is signal. Noise disappears as quickly as it comes. Signal cuts through and stays. Younger women, perhaps more than anyone else, can sense when a man is playing a role versus when he is truly comfortable in himself. They may laugh at the performance in the moment, but they respect and crave the presence afterward, and that presence is what keeps them invested long after the night ends. So instead of asking yourself, "What can I do to impress her?" the better question is, "How can I stay centered and lead without needing to prove myself?" Because in the end, when you stop acting, you become authentic, and authenticity is what holds real power. If you understand this, you'll realize that presence doesn't mean doing nothing, it means being rooted in who you are. When you respond calmly under pressure, when you allow silence to hang without rushing to fill it, when your body language communicates certainty without a single word, you are leading. That leadership doesn't come from performance, it comes from stillness. And the younger woman, who expects you to be like all the others, quickly learns that you are different. That difference is what keeps her chasing. Say it in the comments if you're ready to step into this. I lead now. And don't go anywhere, because what's coming next will expose another hidden truth about why so many men lose respect with younger women without even realizing it. And once you see it, you'll never fall into the same trap again. Number 5. Kill the fantasy, read the reality. One of the easiest traps for an older man with a younger woman is slipping into fantasy. You meet her, the chemistry is electric, she looks at you with bright eyes, and suddenly your mind starts building stories. You imagine she's the answer to your loneliness. You imagine her excitement means permanence. You imagine her attention equals loyalty. But here's the truth. Fantasy is not reality. The moment you start believing the picture in your head instead of what's actually in front of you, you hand over your power. Take Michael, 47, a divorced father of 2 who started dating Jenna, 27. At first, he felt 10 years younger just being around her energy. He convinced himself she admired his wisdom and wanted something serious, but what he didn't notice was the reality. Jenna loved the attention, the dinners, the thrill of being with someone more established. She was never looking for commitment, only excitement. Michael ignored the red flags, her constant phone checking, her vague answers about the future, because the fantasy felt too good. When reality finally hit, it crushed him, not because the truth was hidden, but because he refused to see it. That's the difference between men who keep control and men who lose it. The ones who kill the fantasy are able to read the situation clearly. They don't inflate her interest into promises she never made. They don't confuse chemistry with commitment. They observe what she does more than what she says. The fantasy blinds you, the reality frees you. Younger women are experts at testing boundaries, sometimes even unintentionally. They may say things to see how you react. They may create scenarios to see if you'll bend. If you're caught in the fantasy, you'll rationalize her behavior, telling yourself, she didn't mean it, or it'll change. But if you're grounded in reality, you'll see exactly what's happening. And once you see it, you can choose your response with strength. Michael's story could have been different if he had treated Jenna's attention as what it was, fun, light, temporary, rather than convincing himself it was forever. On the flip side, I've seen men like Richard, 52, who dated Amanda, 30. From day one, Richard told himself, "This is enjoyable, but I'll judge it by her actions, not my fantasy." When Amanda started showing genuine effort, cooking dinner, asking about his kids, aligning with his lifestyle, he noticed because he was watching reality, not living in an illusion. That clarity allowed him to engage without losing himself. And when Amanda stayed, it was because she wanted to, not because he begged. Here's the lesson. Fantasy is comfortable, but it's costly. Reality might feel harsh, but it's liberating. When you see people as they are, not as you wish them to be, you make stronger choices. And that's exactly what makes a younger woman respect you. She may admire the fantasy you create, but she'll stay for the man who has the courage to face reality. Say it in the comments if you're ready to live this truth. I see reality. And keep watching, because the next principle we're about to break down will show you why being a backup plan is one of the fastest ways to lose respect and how to make sure it never happens to you. Number 6. Never settle as her backup plan. One of the most dangerous places a man can find himself in is being the backup option. You may not notice it at first. She texts when she's bored. She flirts when she feels lonely. She calls when the guy she truly wants is unavailable. You feel like you're in the game, but in reality, you're on the bench. And if you accept that role, you're telling her you don't value yourself enough to demand more. Younger women, like anyone, can sense when a man is willing to take crumbs of attention just to stay close. And here's the hard truth. Once you accept crumbs, she'll never serve you the full meal. Respect is lost the moment you settle for less than what you deserve. The Stoics warned against this kind of self-betrayal. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The point wasn't to encourage weakness, but to remind men to value principle over opinion. If you know your worth, you don't compromise it for temporary validation. Being someone's backup plan is the opposite of Stoic discipline. It's choosing comfort over dignity. The problem is that many older men convince themselves that even partial attention is better than nothing. They think, at least she's still texting me, or she still spends time with me, so maybe there's hope. But what they don't realize is that every time they accept this role, they reinforce a dynamic where she has all the power and they're simply waiting to be chosen. That's not attraction, it's servitude. True presence and strength come from drawing the line. You are either a priority or you walk away. And ironically, it's that willingness to walk away that often flips the dynamic. When she realizes you won't be her backup plan, she starts to reevaluate what you mean to her. Scarcity increases value. A man who refuses to be placed in the background often ends up commanding the foreground. Think about it. Women don't chase men who are always available and desperate. They chase men whose value is clear and who won't settle for half measures. This is why never settling for the backup role isn't just about protecting your pride, it's about creating the kind of respect that fuels attraction. The more you hold yourself to that standard, the more powerful your frame becomes. It's not about anger, it's not about ultimatums, it's about calm certainty. You don't need to raise your voice or prove your point. You simply know your worth, and you act accordingly. That's the kind of energy a younger woman notices. That's the kind of energy that keeps her attention. Drop this in the comments if you're done playing second place. I know my worth. And stay locked in, because what we're about to cover next will reveal the single mindset shift that makes your mission as a man more magnetic than anything else you could say or do. Once you understand this, you'll never see relationships the same way again. Number 7. Mission first, woman second. Every man who's ever lost himself in a relationship knows the danger of putting a woman above his mission. It starts innocently. She wants more of your time, more of your energy, more of your focus. And because you enjoy her company, you give in. You skip the gym, you cut back on work, you delay your goals. At first, she's flattered by the attention, but slowly, respect begins to fade. Why? Because deep down, every woman is drawn to a man who knows his direction. A man without mission becomes a man without gravity, and she feels it. Take John, 45, a financial consultant from Dallas. After his divorce, he started seeing Emily, 31, a yoga instructor. At the beginning, John had a clear rhythm. He worked hard, hit the gym, and spent time with his kids. Emily was attracted to that structure, that sense of drive. But as the relationship deepened, John began rearranging his life to revolve around her. He skipped workouts to go on last-minute coffee dates, stayed up late talking even when he had early meetings, and slowly his edge dulled. Emily didn't feel cherished, she felt the opposite. She saw a man losing his fire. The attraction that was once strong began to weaken because John abandoned the very mission that had made him magnetic in the first place. Now compare that to Mark, 52, a small business owner in Chicago. He started dating Rachel, 29, who loved his discipline. Mark was clear from the start. His mornings were for his business, his evenings 3 days a week were for the gym, and weekends rotated between her and his hobbies. Rachel sometimes tested those boundaries, but Mark never sacrificed his mission to appease her. Instead, he integrated her into his world without losing himself. Over time, Rachel respected him more because he showed her through actions that his mission came first. And ironically, by putting his mission first, he kept her chasing. This is why Stoic philosophy aligns so closely with masculine strength. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." A man who knows his mission doesn't need constant approval or attention. He's not swayed by moods or demands. He knows his course, and he walks it with consistency. Women may challenge it, but at the end of the day, they can't resist the pull of a man anchored in purpose. The danger of putting a woman first isn't that she will leave you immediately. It's that she will slowly lose respect, even if she can't explain why. When you choose her over your mission again and again, you stop being the man she admired. You become predictable, pliable, and eventually replaceable. But when you keep your mission first, you embody scarcity, discipline, and direction. And that makes you not only more attractive, but also more fulfilled, whether she stays or not. So remember this, your mission isn't something you put aside for love. It's the very reason love is drawn to you. Protect it, nurture it, and never let it take second place. Say it in the comments if you live by this standard. I choose mission. And don't leave yet, because up next we'll tackle a subtle mistake many men make when dealing with younger women, the mistake of giving up strength to become what she wants. Once you see why that never works, you'll understand how to stay the rock she can't walk away from. Number 8. Be the rock, not the puppet. When a younger woman dates an older man, One of the unspoken reasons is stability. She sees him as grounded, composed, someone who doesn't bend with every little gust of wind. But here's where many older men fail. They abandon that stability and start trying to please her, shape-shifting into whatever she wants in the moment. Instead of being the rock, they become the puppet, pulled by her strings. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who sacrifices his core identity to chase approval. Think about it. A rock has presence. It's unmoved, steady, and dependable. A puppet, on the other hand, only comes alive when someone else is pulling the strings. If you become that puppet, she might play with you for a while, but she won't respect you, and she definitely won't stay loyal to you. Respect and desire are born when a woman knows you're not easily swayed. The Stoics taught that your strength lies not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is precisely why being the rock is so powerful. You don't need to manipulate or perform for her. You don't need to buy her attention with gifts or constant flattery. You show up as yourself, and your consistency creates attraction without effort. Now, let's be clear, being the rock doesn't mean being cold, unfeeling, or rigid. It means you are calm when she tests you. It means you don't get rattled when she's moody, and you don't lose yourself when she challenges your boundaries. Women often test not because they want you to fail, but because they want to see if you're real. If you collapse at the first push, she knows your strength is an illusion. But if you remain composed, even when emotions run high, her respect for you deepens. Too many men confuse affection with submission. They think, if I just give her everything she wants, she'll love me more. But what actually happens is the opposite. She starts to feel the weight of responsibility because you've placed all the power in her hands. Instead of being her anchor, you've become her puppet, and puppets are replaceable. Rocks are not. Picture this: a storm rolls in. The trees bend, the wind howls, and everything is in chaos, but the rock remains. That's how you should be in a relationship. When she storms, you stay grounded. When she tests, you don't flinch. That's not indifference, it's strength. And strength is what women crave at their core, no matter their age. Being the rock also frees you. Because when you stop performing, when you stop reacting to every demand or mood, you reclaim your time, your focus, your mission. You remind yourself that your worth isn't tied to her approval. And paradoxically, this detachment makes you more attractive. You're not grasping, you're leading. So remember, attraction isn't about bending over backwards or playing a role. It's about embodying that quiet, immovable presence that women can lean on but never control. Don't trade that for the shallow comfort of approval. It's a deal that always leaves you weaker. If this resonates with you, drop it in the comments. I am the rock. And before you scroll away, let me tell you this. What we're about to cover next is a mindset shift that can flip the entire dynamic between you and her. If you've ever wondered why some men naturally keep a younger woman chasing, you won't want to miss what's coming. Number 9. Don't buy attention, command it. There's a trap that many older men fall into when dating younger women. They assume her attention is something they have to buy, whether with gifts, fancy dinners, constant favors, or endless compliments. At first, it might feel like it's working. She smiles when you hand her a present, she thanks you for always being available, and maybe she even sticks around. But here's the truth. Attention that's bought is temporary. It fades the moment someone else offers something shinier, newer, or more exciting. What truly matters is learning how to command attention, not through money, not through performance, but through presence. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a 2-year-old man named David. He's successful in his career, earns good money, and starts dating a 7-year-old woman named Emily. At first, David showers Emily with expensive dinners, designer bags, and constant texts to make sure she's happy. But over time, Emily grows distant. Why? Because deep down, she doesn't feel magnetized by David, she feels managed. His attention feels transactional, like he's trying to buy her loyalty instead of inspiring it. Eventually, she loses interest, not because David wasn't capable, but because he misunderstood the psychology of attraction. Now flip that scenario. Instead of buying attention, imagine David commands it. He shows up confident, calm, and unapologetically himself. He doesn't flood Emily with gifts, he gives her the gift of presence. When he speaks, he does it with authority, not desperation. When he listens deeply, not just waiting for his turn to impress. He isn't chasing her validation because he already validates himself. In this version of the story, Emily feels drawn in. She craves his approval, not because he bought it, but because he earned it through who he island. The Stoics remind us of this timeless principle. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The same applies in relationships. When you stop wanting her attention so badly, when you stop trying to buy her affection, that's when you become wealthy in presence. Your lack of neediness makes her see you as the prize. Think about the men you've seen who effortlessly hold a room. They don't shout, they don't throw money around. They stand tall, they speak when necessary, and people naturally lean in to hear them. That's the essence of commanding attention. It's energy, not expenditure. Women, especially younger women, can sense this difference instantly. Here's another angle. When you buy attention, you create dependence on her reactions, on her gratitude, on her approval. And that dependence weakens you. But when you command attention, you create freedom. You're no longer tied to whether she smiles at your gift or responds to your text. You're rooted in yourself. And paradoxically, that's when her attraction grows strongest. The real power lies in shifting from giver of things to giver of experience. Instead of asking, "What can I buy her to keep her happy?" you start asking, "What experience can I create that makes her feel alive when she's with me?" That could be as simple as holding strong eye contact during a conversation, teasing her in a playful way, or leading her into an adventure she didn't expect. None of these things cost money, but they're priceless when it comes to building emotional attachment. So here's the bottom line. Stop trying to buy her attention. It's fleeting, shallow, and always replaceable. Learn to command it instead through your presence, your confidence, and your authenticity. That's what sticks. That's what keeps her craving you long after the gifts and compliments fade. If this struck a chord, drop it in the comments. I command respect. And here's something to think about. Most men believe attraction comes from effort, but the truth is, the less you try to force it, the stronger it becomes. Keep watching, because what comes next may completely shift how you view your role in her life. Number 10. Make her earn your depth. One of the most common mistakes older men make when dating younger women is giving away too much of themselves too quickly. They open up every layer, reveal every thought, and pour their emotions out in the hope that she'll see their honesty as strength. But here's the paradox. When you give away your depth without making her earn it, you strip it of its value. Depth only has meaning when it's scarce, when it's revealed gradually, and when she feels she's had to work for it. You see, women are naturally curious. They want to peel back layers. They want to feel like they're discovering you bit by bit. If you hand it all over up front, you rob her of that journey. And without that journey, there's no mystery, no anticipation, no sense of reward. This is why many relationships fizzle out after the initial spark, because the man revealed everything too soon, and there was nothing left for her to chase. Imagine a 4-6-year-old man named Marcus dating a 2-9-year-old woman named Rachel. On their first few dates, Marcus tells Rachel his deepest fears, past heartbreaks, financial details, and his vision for the next 20 years. At first, Rachel appreciates the honesty, but over time, she begins to feel something missing. She doesn't have to invest. She doesn't have to earn his trust. She was given VIP access from day one. Instead of feeling closer, she feels a strange distance. Why? Because intimacy without effort doesn't feel real. It feels unearned. Now picture Marcus taking a different path. He's open enough to be real, but reserved enough to hold his ground. He listens more than he talks. He shares glimpses instead of confessions, and he lets Rachel step forward and invest before he pulls back another layer. Slowly, she begins to crave his inner world. Every new piece of him she uncovers feels like a prize, not a handout. She starts to lean in. She starts to ask more questions, and she feels proud of the closeness she's earned. This kind of intimacy is far more powerful and far more lasting. The Stoics understood this balance well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your soul is rich, steady, and disciplined, not everyone deserves to see all its shades immediately. You protect it, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. You reveal it slowly, to those who prove they can handle it, value it, and respect it. That's not playing games, it's living with intention. Here's the critical shift. Stop thinking of vulnerability as a door you must throw open instantly. Think of it as a gate, and that gate should open only when the other person shows loyalty, consistency, and genuine interest, not just curiosity in the moment. That way, when she does gain access, she cherishes it. She knows it's not casual. She knows it's not something every man gives her. She knows she's earned something rare. This doesn't mean being closed off, cold, or emotionally distant. It means pacing yourself. Share stories, but don't unload your entire past. Express your values, but don't explain every insecurity. Allow her to step into your world, but keep the foundation solidly yours until she invests in it too. It's the difference between being a museum with every exhibit on display at once versus a book that reveals its secrets one chapter at a time. Which one do you think she'll find more captivating? At the end of the day, depth is like gravity. It pulls people in. But if you give it away freely, you turn it into air everywhere, and therefore unnoticed. Make her earn your depth, and she won't just respect you more, she'll attach herself more deeply to you, because she feels like part of something rare, something not every woman gets access to. That's how attraction transforms into obsession. You've just discovered the truths most men will never learn, and now the choice is yours. You can ignore this and keep repeating the same patterns that push women away, or you can apply this wisdom and step into the role of a man she can't resist. If this video gave you value, don't just keep it to yourself. Hit the like button so more men can wake up to this reality. And drop a comment below. Tell me, what's the one trait you're going to sharpen starting today? Remember, every small shift you make adds up to the man you're becoming. But here's the thing, what you've learned here is just the beginning. If you're serious about mastering female psychology, building unshakable confidence, and creating the kind of presence that makes women invest in you, then join our membership. Inside, you'll unlock exclusive content, deeper strategies, and direct guidance you won't find anywhere else. Think of it as your unfair advantage, the knowledge and tools that separate men who settle from men who lead. Subscribe if you haven't already, because the next video might be the one that completely flips the way you see women and yourself. Don't miss it. Stay disciplined, stay grounded, and remember, your presence is your power.